So the battlefield seems to be heating up, and I don't know if it's part of a new offensive or just a push before Putin's big parade or just what. But this is where we are. It is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. This is the Daily Brief. My name is Darren Gerdes. I'm just a professor trying to provide context in the war in Ukraine. So this colonel was just killed. He's in charge of a very well-known Russian regiment. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Okay, 1,430 Russians off the battlefield, 3 tanks, 5 armored fighting vehicles, 61 artillery systems, 103 vehicles, and fuel tanks. So that's high for the last few weeks or months. If we look at the month of May, we'll see that here the numbers seem to be ticking up here in May, and it's about 2 weeks ago where we saw another high number like that at 1,530. Before that, 1,420 here, and then before that, 1,410 and 1,540. So what we're seeing is May as an average is now at 1,262 as opposed to February at 1,247. April was low at 1,210. So that's where we are right now. This is Ragnar Gudmundsson's dashboard. Highest casualties in over 2 weeks and 200 engagements reported. Strong artillery losses and drone interceptions above average. Most Ukrainian strikes on over about a month. Solid strike ratio. So when we look at the strike ratio, that's really interesting here. It's at 5.2. It's positive. 5.2 to, yeah. So it was at like 30-1 negative before. So this is a really interesting thing to see. And again, there's intensification on the battlefield. Night of May 5th to 6th, 136 Shahed drones strike into Ukraine from Russia. 54 of those were shot down. 70 of these were electronically distracted, but about a dozen got through and did some damage. So massive drone attack on Kharkiv last night. There were about 20 hits on the city. And again, some can be hits even if they're not hitting where they're supposed to be hitting. The Barbashovo market, the largest market in Kharkiv, is burning from the drone attacks. Thankfully, no one was hurt, although material losses from the fire will likely be huge. So that's what happened there. And they also hit storages with children's toys and school supplies and clothes. Yeah, that's what they're targeting. Now, again, I can't quite say that. That could have been electronically suppressed, but they don't tend to go out of their way to not hit civilian kinds of things. All right, so Ukraine's Air Force was striking at Russia, deep into Russia, destroying a command hub near Totinko in Kursk Oblast. Remember that incursion yesterday into Kursk. Up to 20 Russian troops are killed in this drone strike or Air Force strike that has wiped out this drone command center. So here's a little bit more about it. Ukraine strikes Russian drone base in Totinko, up to 20 operators dead. Key UAV hub wrecked. This site trained FPV drone teams for attacks on civilians. Nice. Okay, so that's what they were hitting there. Now, overnight, Ukraine was also sending its own drones into Russia. 100 Ukrainian drones are flying toward their targets across western Russia at this point last night. And so what happened during the night, multiple UAVs targeted sites across Russia, airports in Moscow, Volgograd, Kaluga, Samara, and a number of other regions. I didn't see a lot of impact from it. The Moscow authorities reported 19 drones were shot down, debris damaging a residential building. Ministry of Defense later claimed that 105 UAVs were intercepted overnight. So it wasn't a great night where we can say, hey, this got hit and that got hit. Much of it was shot down. It shut down the airport for several hours in Moscow. So it's not that it was without effect. Now let's look at the battlefield because that's like the main thing here today. In the Pokrovsk direction, 48 Russian invasions or assaults. And like that's not that high. And Pokrovsk is like the bellwether usually. Like when you see 60, 70, 80 in Pokrovsk, like you can generally see that there's an intensity over here on this map that shows that, or on this chart that will show something like, 8 1800, 1900, 2000. That's just how it tends to work out. Now, Pokrovsk is interesting is for another reason as well. Here, Russian forces re-intensified offensive operations in mid-March 2025 aimed at enveloping Pokrovsk and seizing Pokrovsk, but have not made significant advances in the area since late fall 2024 due to localized Ukrainian counterattacks and drone operations. So there's a couple things. There's a new commander in charge of Pokrovsk. That's one thing. They've also used technology to take drones to mine out a little bit, so it's hard to get through. They also have drones that are being used almost as like close support for the infantry that's fighting there. So it's very hard to get to it. And I thought it was interesting. I did this today. This is a deep state map of Pokrovsk today. Here's Pokrovsk, and this is the farthest extent that it goes, right? And then I looked at it, I said, well, what was it like a year ago? A year ago it was here. Now, again, the distance here is 45.43 kilometers at the largest height of it, right? 45 kilometers in a year. And I said to myself, I wonder what that means, like how much ground do they carry each day? So 45,430 meters divided by 365 days is 124 meters per day. So what is, now I ran track, so I'm familiar with meters as far as like a 400 meters for around one time around the track. So it's about a full straightaway and then maybe a little bit of the curve. That's how much the Russians have taken day over day. It's not a lot. Now, again, this is an oversimplification because, here I'm saying they've taken maybe that kind of, straightaway in here, right? But I know it's an oversimplification, but think about this. Okay, yes, they have to take it and hold it and keep moving, and they have to do it on multiple parts of the battlefield, and I get that, but that's still not a lot of ground that they've been able to take when you really think about it. And if we go back over to the map, what we also see is that here, this pink area is what they previously held, like before this all kicked off, and this is not a lot of ground. Okay. Let's look at some other things that are happening here on the battlefield. Another failed assault by Russian forces near Vovchansk. Occupiers tried to break through the defenses using motorcycles for a fast attack, but Ukrainian border guards, FPV drones, hit them on the move. 2 bikes and the riders are destroyed. Now, I've maintained that this is management malpractice to send people forward on motorcycles, and some people have argued back with me that no, this is actually great because now the drones have to decide whether they're going to go after the large unit, the larger tank, or the guys on the motorcycles. I understand that, but I also understand that they have so many drones that unless they're sending regiments at them on motorcycles, it's not going to matter. I mean, they're going to be able to hit these things, and the speed that you get from the motorcycle does not make up for the lack of the protection. And drones are dominant here. That's the story of the war. Okay. Colonel, and I can't pronounce this guy's name. This guy here is Colonel Abuziz Shirabovich Shikhabidov, whatever, commander of the Russian 76th Guards Air Assault Division. That's a prominent division. Whenever you see guards, he was just killed on the battlefield. He was just eliminated. Whenever you see guards, that's like a designation of like when you think special forces. Now, some are just honorific and they're called guards because something happened in their past, and some are really, but this is a air assault division, and he was just taken off the battlefield. Overnight, Ukraine's Navy engaged a major air defense engagement over northwest Black Sea, shooting down a number of Russian Shahed attack drones with shipborne L-3 Harris Vampire surface-to-air missile systems. So that was going on, and precision strike by Ukraine's naval drone unit on the Kinburn Spit FPV drone drone destroyed, a Russian D-30 122mm howitzer being towed by a Ural truck. They're on the Kinburn Spit. I'll show you where that is in a minute. Russian bunker and ammo depot blown up on the Kinburn Spit. Powerful hit by Ukraine's 122nd Territorial Defense Brigade on the occupied territory. Okay, Kinburn Spit is here. The Russians I've seen are massing forces here in order to attack this way, as far as some commentators have said. Let me zoom out a little bit so you can see this. This is the Kinburn Spit. So this is Russian occupied territory. This is held by Ukraine, and yeah, they would love to be able to get over here and then move down toward Odessa. Okay. Ukraine's defense forces have already repelled Russian attempts to land forces on the Dnipro Islands near Kherson. Enemy plans to repeat such actions are known, and we're ready, says the Ukrainians. And then just a couple of images about drones. You know how much I enjoy watching drones hit drones. Here's, looking to see some things being fired off. Kurila Omega unit destroyed a Russian BM-21 Grad during its attack near Zaporizhia. Here is a drone attacking a drone. And just knocking these things out of the sky. It's getting crowded up there in the air. Ukraine and NATO are now looking for tech solutions to counter fiber optic drones. Now, what the Russians just did was turn off the internet around the mobile internet around Russia, so that like drones can't easily get through and use their ping off the towers. But the fiber optic drones can still get through. And so it's a NATO Innovation Challenge hackathon will be held on June 20th in Tallinn to find ways to detect and disrupt and destroy fiber optic drones. So when they figure that out, they'll have made a big step forward. Today, Volodymyr Zelensky says, today we honor the warriors who hold the line for Ukraine's positions and for the Ukrainian state. Whenever a Ukrainian infantryman advances, the Ukrainian flag is raised. It's always our infantry who stand on the most difficult front lines. They hold the defense, lead the assault, stop the enemy, and protect our land. The courage, strength, and skill of our infantry are undeniable, just as our gratitude to the Ukrainian infantry for defending our state is unwavering. Ukraine stands as long as the infantry stands. On this Infantry Day, I thank our warriors for their strength, resilience, and daily fight. We are proud of you. Glory to Ukraine. And then he has a number of images of infantrymen somewhere on the front lines. And I'll close with this, and that is that 205 warriors returned to Ukraine from Russian captivity. Every day we fight for our people. We'll definitely do everything to bring each and everyone back. Somewhere between 8,000 and 10,000 seem to be in captivity from the estimates that I've seen. And here's 200 who have returned. All right, my friends, thank you for your time, the likes, the shares, and the subscribes, and thank you for being the kind of person that cares about Ukraine.